Hey guys, for today's video we are going to be looking at cold spellbreakers, what they look like at endgame, the types of weapons and other MIs you want to look for, and also a little bit about leveling them. So let's begin. This is one of many examples of a cold spellbreaker. This is something that's done SR34, which is the old SR85, pretty comfortably. It has the Shadowed Realm set, which is a very strong general utility armor set. Dual wields Loxmere daggers for low cooldown Shadow Strike. We get the cooldown to 0.9 seconds. Living Rings are providing utility. They give elemental damage and health +3 to Iskandra's elemental exchange as well, which is additional damage. And you get 2 affixes on them so they can fix resistances and other issues you may have. For this build, we needed to cap Nidala's Justifiable Ends, which is the cooldown reduction part of Shadow Strike. So we equipped Mythical Slith Scale Leg Wraps, which has +2 to Shadow Strike and Nidala's. It also has cold damage. Serenity is +1 to all skills, some resistances, health, and a Circuit Breaker. Gargoyle Belt is +1 to Nightblade. And we have an Ilgor's Eternal Vigil, which has a bunch of modifiers to Pneumatic Burst. For boots, we have the Morganeth Step, which are for a Cold Shadow Strike build, best in slot. You can get them from the Scions of Hunger in Tomb of the Heretic. You might have to farm for a little bit, but they give you +3 to Shadow Strike, they give you cold damage, they give you heavy armor, and they can give you up to 5% physical resistance. And for gloves, we have these for Overload and Lethal Assault mostly. There are other glove options that are also viable. But let's take a quick look at the skills. You see we have Dual Blades, Soft Capped. This gives us 10% physical resistance. We have each of the weapon pool skills, which are used in auto attacks between our Shadow Strikes. These are one-pointed. We have Lethal Assault as a buff. We have Shadow Strike, almost hard-capped. Better affixes on gear will get this to hard-cap. This is hard-capped, which gives 1.8 seconds off the skill cooldown. Now, if this was 21, it would be 1.6 seconds, so actually getting this hard capped is pretty important if you want ultra low cooldown. This is one-pointed. It has additional cold damage. It gives Shadow Strike a little bit more AoE as well. Pneumatic Burst is a buff you want on all the time. If you're dual wielding, you always take this because it gives you more health regeneration. It reduces your cooldown. This gives you dodge and defensibility. This gives you cold damage and elemental resistance. Veil of Shadow is minus OA to enemies. This is cold resist reduction, which is important on a cold build, of course. Now, in some scenarios, you might want this at least soft capped, and you can change some points around on a build like this. This is another one, Phantasmal Armor for Pierce Resistance, CC Res, and armor that's good to have at least soft capped. You're not always going to have the points for it. I didn't here based on some of the other stuff I wanted to do, so here we are. But yeah, if you can get the soft cap, definitely. This is one-pointed. On a Pierce build, you want more points in this, but on a non-Pierce build, the Cunning isn't boosting your damage, so it's not worth as much. And this gives us some additional cold damage too. So on the Arcanist side, and this is kind of why Spellbreaker, we have Star Pact, which gives us additional damage as well as cooldown reduction. We get some Aether to Cold, which we 1-point Fabric of Reality, so that helps a little bit, but that's not really the main issue. This is just some additional energy and energy cost reduction. Nullification, one of the best defensive skills in the game. It removes debuffs on you or removes buffs on enemies. Very valuable. Arcane Will is sort of a quasi-circuit breaker that gives you some additional damage, defensive ability, and such when it procs when your health goes below 75%. Inner Focus is Spirit in OA. Spirit is also, in addition to mana, it's percent damage, so that's very valuable. We have Mirror here, which is the best panic button in the game. It's 100% damage absorption. 7 points is kind of the sweet spot. But above that, you get diminishing marginal returns in terms of your cooldown reduction. Maven's Spear of Protection you always want as much as possible because this is percent damage absorption. And on other builds, conversion's more important, but Shattered Realm set gives you a lot of crowd control resistance on its own, so it doesn't matter quite as much. So Iskander's Elemental Exchange is flat elemental damage as well as percent elemental damage and energy regen. The second node gives some damage over time, gives OA, and gives Aether Res. And the third node is more damage over time and also some crit damage. We'll take a look at Devotions quickly. We have Turtle, which is a circuit breaker. It's essentially additional health. Viper, which if you're doing at least 100% weapon damage, this type of resist reduction will apply. Another type of flat resist reduction is from Raise the Dead here. And this also gives some very nice nodes for attack and cast speed, health, attack damage converted to health, etc. We have a bunch of other devotions to get the 20 green we need for Ugal. Fox is taken for the attack damage converted to health mostly. We have Rumor, which is cold resist reduction. If you're playing a cold or acid build, you always want this. Behemoth is a little bit more optional. I happen to like the armor and health that you get from it, but it's not necessary. It's more useful if you're playing a heavy regen build, but it's still nice, and it fits the affinity map we need, where we need 7 red for Ugal and 20 green, and we need 8 red if we want to take Torch. Now, the reason we take Torch, even though it's a fire devotion, is this second node, which gives us chaos resistance and 5% offensive ability, which is very nice. And we look at Ugal, and you just see the nodes. Cold damage. This is acid damage, but it's health and OA. This is defensive. This is cold damage and spirit. This is flat, cold, and acid. Also a bunch of attack damage converted to health. And the final reason we take Ugal on a Spellbreaker is this devotion proc, when we're hit, gives us reduced targets damage, which we don't have anywhere else. And reduced targets damage is one of the important defensive layers that you want on pretty much every build. We have damage absorption from Maven's Spear of Protection, but reduced targets damage is different, and this will apply kind of multiplicatively, so you reduce incoming damage, and then you absorb some of the additional damage coming in after that through Maven's Spear of Protection. So that's sort of the overall map and what this build looks like. We also can put on our Blade Spirits, and these we're using to proc Blizzard, which is last devotion, not quite as important. It has some nice nodes, but the proc is just one additional source of damage. Not a huge deal, you don't have to take it, but there are some nice nodes in terms of giving you additional damage, health, and armor that make it worthwhile. So that's the overview of this particular Cold Spellbreaker. I'm going to quickly show you. There are pretty much 4 types of weapons that, for Monster and Frequents, that you might dual wield with a Spellbreaker. Not the only options, but these are the most common. You have the Loxmere daggers, which we have here. We have a Chill Strife. Now, Chill Strife gives points to Knight's Chill, which is cold resistance reduction. Also gives additional cold resistance to reduction to Veil of Shadow, which is pretty significant, and has pretty good percent cold modifiers as well. Spectral Longswords have Pierce to Cold conversion. Shadow Strike, it does all physical to cold conversion for you, so you don't have to worry about that. And if you are playing not a Spellbreaker, but a Infiltrator, it also has some modifiers to one of the rune skills. Finally, you have Malkadar's Dreadblade, which gives 80% additional weapon damage to Execution. Execution can get up to around 300% weapon damage without any modifiers, so you add a couple of these and you're between 450 and 500% weapon damage when Execution procs, which is going to be pretty nice. This also works well for a Reaper because it has modifiers to Necrotic Edge. So that's kind of the basics of the Wise Spellbreaker, and that's part 1. The next part of the video, we're going to be kind of talking about how do you level this, what are some of the items to look for when leveling, and maybe what are some of the other options if you want to play a different type of Spellbreaker.